This is a meeting of the Moorhead Economic Development Authority. I'll call this meeting to order. Can we get a call of the roll?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Members present today include Anderson, Koda, Leeser, Sobolik, Soline, and White.
We're going to have any of the new members introduce themselves.
Yeah, we have a new member. Rob Sobolik has been newly appointed. And Rob, if you might just say a few words about who you are, who you work for, and maybe what interests you in joining the EDA.
Thank you. Appreciate the opportunity to do this. Rob Sobolik, currently the general manager at Fargo Dome with the city of Fargo, but have lived in southeastern Moorhead for a long time. I can't remember. Not this millennium, but just decided it was time to stretch out my wings and do a little bit something different. So looking forward to the opportunity. Thank you.
Okay. Moving on, any amendments to the agenda?
We have no amendments.
Request a motion to approve the minutes from the last meeting.
So moved, Deb White.
Second, Chad Koda.
All right. Minutes are approved. Oh. All in favor? Say
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Any citizens addressing the board today? I don't believe so. Moving on to number 5, commissioners' reports. Do we have any?
Not sure. I know Sherry will join. I know she's going to, James wasn't able to join us from the MBA, so Sherry was going to provide some updates from MBA, as well as take some time to highlight a visit that happened last week for the Minnesota Day, or Moorhead Day at the Capitol, that a few folks from Moorhead attended. So Sherry, if you want to give your update.
All right. Good afternoon, everyone. I am Sherry Larson. I'm the Executive Director for the Moorhead Business Association, and as always, we're always excited to say that we've been celebrating our 12th year. We're here to commit to building a better place in Moorhead for our businesses. What we do every Wednesday is we have our Let's Talk Business meeting, so if you are able to join us, please come early. Let's eat, greet, and meet with our MBA members. We also put on a 560 Connect. This is a perfect way for you to see friends that you've met through the MBA, make new ones in a networking in a relaxing setting. Our Moorhead Alliance of Nonprofits, we meet the last Monday of every month, and we thank the many businesses who give back to the community, and especially the nonprofits. You are able to follow us on the Moorhead Alliance of Nonprofits Facebook page. You should have all received a flyer. We've got the 2nd annual Moorhead Cruise Night coming up this Thursday. Should be beautiful out. Join us on Thursday on the north side of the Moorhead Center Mall from 5 to 8:30. We have our upcoming annual Part T golf tournament at the Meadows Golf Course on May 26th. This event was sold out last year at 36 teams, and we are so close to being out as another sold-out tournament. Vanna Adventure Vans will be giving away $10,000 to the player that has the hole-in-one. Who wants to join us on that last team? We're also working on Let's Light Up Moorhead on the 4th with the drive up and tune in to your Bob 95. We will be celebrating the 49th year of this tradition at Horizon Shores Park. Thank you to these main sponsors of Radio FM Media, American Crystal Sugar, BNSF, Excel Energy, Sanford Health as the presenting sponsors. Mark your calendars. We've got Welcome Back Students Bridge Bash coming up on Saturday, September 17th at Viking Ship Park. We will be meeting next week, or actually tomorrow, with NDSU, Concordia, MSUM, and M-State to start planning this event for September 17th. The MBA attended the Chamber Business After Hours on Wednesday, promoting membership, the golf tournament, as well as the 4th of July celebration. The theme was to chip in and get involved. Also, as part of the Chamber Moorhead Area Days at the Capitol in St. Paul, we left on Wednesday, and we had 15 of us that participated in attending this event. Those that attended, just so that you all know, would be the Chamber's team of Shannon Foll, Kale, and Catherine, the City of Moorhead, Mayor Carlson and Lisa Bodie, Amy Lammers with American Crystal Sugar, Nate Martindale with First International Bank, the City of Dilworth, the Mayor Olson, Peyton and Julie Nash. We had Clay County Commissioners there as well, Jenna and David. And then we met with the following legislators to help us advocate. We met with, Representative Paul Marquardt, House Taxes Committee, Senator Tom Back, Senate Capital Investment Committee, Senator Sandy Pappas, Senate Capital, Investment Committee, Representative Fu Lee, and I apologize if I've got these names incorrectly, House Capital Investment Committee Chair, Representative Dean Weirdahl, House Capital Investment Committee Ranking Member, Representative Mohammed Noor, House Workforce and Business Development Chair, Senator Kent Eckren, Representative Heather Keeler, and then we also met with the Minnesota Deed as well as the U.S. Chamber. We were there to talk about replenishing the Unemployment Insurance Trust Fund. We were also talking about the workforce issues in our region. We also talked a lot about and invited them to come to the Moorhead High School Career Academy. We also talked a lot about the Weld Hall being remodeled, as well as the Dilworth Fire Station. Mayor Olson was very, very impressive in the way he presented this because it's not just for the city of Dilworth. It's also very important to us in Moorhead as well as the surrounding areas. We talked about the comprehensive flood mitigation plan, but the other thing that we talked a lot about was the border city enterprise zone. We talked about the importance of probably putting a county next to that, so Clay, Cass, and for those who are not familiar, which you all should be familiar with that, when it was the CARES Act, individuals who had businesses in Moorhead but lived in Fargo were not able to take advantage of this. We were there from Thursday till Friday and then ended up with a wonderful tour of the Capitol. What I got here, I think that is it. Oh, nope, I've got one more thing. Hang on here, I'm sorry. Too many pages up here. I want to end with, our community is stronger when we are all together, when we do more in Moorhead. Thank you, and Moorhead proud. Any questions?
Thank you, Sherry.
Yeah, I'll just say thanks to Sherry and the chamber team and the other representatives that went down there. I wasn't able to join last week, but obviously Sherry was giving me reports, and it's always great to be present, I think, in the Capitol. I'll touch on it a little bit later in my economic development report, but I think the more that Moorhead and Dilworth and Clay County are represented at the Capitol, I think the better positioned we are, because we do have so much opportunity here, and the state needs to understand us. So we appreciate the chamber organizing it, and to those folks that were able to attend and represent us so well. So thank you, Sherry.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Yeah, Dan?
Chair, yeah, if I could, I just want to say thank you, Sherry, for going on the trip and helping recruit people to go. This would be, as Derek said, we've been down to St. Paul a couple times this year with groups. We're finding success. Our message is new, frankly. What we're sharing is that we are part of this metro, Moorhead and Fargo and everything, is the second largest metro in Minnesota. So, what we're talking about here are not rural issues. These are urban issues. And so second to Minneapolis, St. Paul, we are the I'm going to say it again, second largest urban area in Minnesota. And so I think that's very important to get through. I think that's going to help us build the trust and influence there that we need to and start seeing the folks and some of the resources and the partnerships necessary. With that comes, pretty direct communication. Stuff like, we do not want to be compared to Bemidji or Thief River or some of these other, issues. This is an urban community, urban issues, and so we're trying to build on that relationship. So certainly that speaks to the value of our regional partnerships and our whole metro area working together, and Moorhead and Clay County's part in that. So.
Thank you, Dan.
Thank you.
Okay, anything else on that? Okay. Moving on to number 6. We need to formalize the election of the vice chair. I believe, just historically here, I believe Alex had been nominated. I think you politely declined. Chad had volunteered. So we're just looking to for a motion to approve Chad as the vice chair.
Deb White moves to approve Chad Cota as vice chair.
Second.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you, Chad, for volunteering. Okay, number 7, experience marketing and placemaking. Call for activation. Derek or Amy?
Yeah, I'll take this one here, and I may kick it over to Dan because he gets excited about this stuff too. So, basically, in our EDA budget, we have a marketing line item in there. We've used this for activation in the past, whether it was painting the trailer that's along the Center Avenue on the mall parking lot. There's been also funding that's gone to music at the farmers market, etc. We wanted to kind of formalize this a little bit more through kind of multiple parties. So we are actually live right now with a call for activation. That's in your packet right now. You can kind of go through that and see what's in there. But basically, we have some money set aside to really kind of get some creativity and life into our downtown area, into our city. Specifically, I think something that we've talked a lot about with as an asset is our riverfront. How do we celebrate that riverfront? How do we really bring that to life in a more meaningful way? We've also talked through, this isn't just a sponsorship to an event, just a piece that just goes to the whole thing, but maybe it is a item that goes with these events, or something that is a focal point, not just used just to kind of put on an event. So we're excited to see what comes in. I know we have a member from the Arts and Culture Commission. I believe Bobby Celine, you've volunteered to sit on it from the EDA's perspective. We'll have a few city staff, as well as trying to maybe bring in an outside party too to kind of look at these applications. But we're excited to see what comes through. We're excited that we're doing it early in the year here, early in the spring, that we can see these things as early as maybe 4 to 6 weeks or throughout the summer. But I think it's just a little bit more of a formal process to just kind of get people and Moorhead residents and businesses excited and energized about things that they can do to celebrate our community. So Dan, I don't know if you have anything you'd like to add, or Amy, if I'm missing anything, but there is a timeline here that we're live with. The deadline for submission is May 20th. So for the public that is listening, make sure you look at that activation, and we'll be reviewing those and trying to accept those ones that are going through that review committee. So with that, be happy to answer any questions. I will, maybe the last thing I'll say is we will be updating the EDA as a part of what projects do get approved. The review committee obviously will go through that process, but since it is approved through the budget, our thoughts are to just inform the EDA of what projects are ultimately approved and what we're going to start seeing happen. So just wanted to make that clarification as well.
Thank you. But I mostly wanted to comment on this, about how excited I am about it as well, because, I think about when we did things like the downtown development plan, and we talked very much about the importance of placemaking. And you look at some of the things, like I look at my colleague Cusa about, things like that Folkways have done. The Red River Market is a good example of a place that in Fargo where it becomes a destination, that it's not just about going there and buying your fruit, but it's about, something that draws people to an area, and then they see the other things that are there, and they don't just buy their vegetables and fruit, but they go over and get a coffee or have a lunch, or, or look at places, scope out places that they're going to go to later. And I think as we are really looking at all of the other things of bringing in new businesses and, the development that's happening, it's another piece of that puzzle as we put all of these things together, that synergy of really igniting that, that growth in downtown. So I am really excited. I think it is important to have that, like, a process in place that not only, because it just formalizes it, and it makes sure that we are prioritizing it, that we have, we have things there to make sure that this is happening. So I think it's great.
Dan?
I tried. I couldn't do it. Dang it. But yeah, no, yeah, it's the same stuff we tell our kids. It's about experiences, not things. This is also consistent with the city's recently approved comprehensive plan that talks about and speaks to the experience of. And so when Derek talks about the river, we talk about the downtown. Fargo has a dandy downtown project going where it feels very urban. You can go to Broadway and 2nd, and you've got the market and things like that. If you're going to come to downtown Moorhead in a few years, you just go to the river. And those experiences draw you into everything that makes up this great downtown neighborhood and where it's headed. So we're excited about the partnerships. We're excited about the way, marketing looks a little different by way of marketing your community by way of experiences rather than, some of the traditional forms which are on billboards and newsletters, newspapers, and things like that. So really appreciate the EDA's support and giving this a shot.
I'd like to ask Derek or Amy to talk a little bit about the logistics of how this message is being broadcast or how the call is being sent out, as I think we want to try and obviously get this as wide-reaching as possible to try and get as many ideas and input from public as possible.
Thank you. So far what we've done, it is hosted on our city's website, and we have put it out as a news release and a couple other forms. Facebook is one avenue that's inexpensive to us, and we've put that out, and we are intending to put it out each week, an update, to make sure that it stays in front of our audience and gets out as best as we can. That's what we've done to date.
I'm wondering on the social media part of it, what the other board members here would think about using some of the EDA funds to allocate it for marketing from our budget towards boosting that message on social media, or trying to, I feel like this is only going to be as successful as we make it, as wide-reaching as the audience on this. Anyone have any kind of thoughts on that? No? All in favor?
Yeah, I would just say, in my understanding, I would look to people that know more than I do as a sociology professor. But I think, a lot of those things, my understanding, it's not that expensive, but if we feel that it would be effective, then, anything like that we can do to better get the word out would be good.
Would anyone care to make a motion for us to use some funds from our marketing budget, the EDA budget, to boost this post and try to get this message out to as wide an audience as possible?
I'd be interested in some discovery on the cost of what that looks like. I'm kind of in the same boat as Commissioner White. Don't really understand how Facebook marketing and remarketing works or what the costs are. So I think it's interesting. I like the idea. I would just like to know a little more as to what it entails and what the price point is.
Amy, do you have any idea on kind of what that usually costs?
I don't. I haven't looked into that, but what could happen is maybe even make a motion of up to X amount of dollars, and then and we can do the best we can with that amount. I would say that we don't have a lot of time to continue to do research because it's very timely. We're going to have to start doing it like tomorrow. So
it's relatively inexpensive. I mean, we're talking just a few bucks here and there per post. So, depending on how frequently you want to do it, and obviously there's strategies beyond of just kind of putting money towards it of when you boost posts and everything else. But yeah, I would say even if the EDA was comfortable in us doing it, even $50 is probably going to be plenty for us just to kind of look at it. We're probably only talking a couple boosts is all you're really looking at.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think you can do it as low as like $20. So
Yep.
I'd make a motion that we spend up to $100 to social media-ize this. Social media-ize. It's a new word, people.
Yep.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you, Bobby.
I'll say another thing that we'll do with that too, that that's helped with our social media presence in a lot of different fronts, whether it's business grants that are available or other things, is just continuing to work with our community partners, you know, Sherry, Downtown Moorhead Inc. There's lots of nonprofits, the Arts and Culture Group, the Arts Partnership. So I think the more we just kind of inform those folks, they just kind of spread it naturally. That kind of helps with that boost too. But I think it is worth looking into this cost from the city's perspective to boost.
Yeah, Derek, I also forgot that we do have a direct mailing list that we will be, we've got the Arts Partnership and many other arts organizations, and I'm going to be working on that yet this afternoon, I believe, to get that direct message out and stuff too. So thanks.
All right, thank you all. Moving on to number 7. Oh, number 8, the Incentive Review Committee.
Yeah, I'll take this here. So really very straightforward. We talked about this at the last meeting. We're at this point where it's been a few years since we established some of these policies and programs that we have, incentives that we have here in Moorhead, whether that's locally in downtown or citywide. This is always a good checkpoint to make sure that we're aligning with the market needs, the council direction, and also our city strategic initiatives as well. So we are here today just looking to formalize that group. We have Chad Cota, James Hand, Bobby Soline, and Deb White that have all indicated their willingness to serve. We are reaching out to a couple different developers. We're hopeful that we'll have at least one join us. Keep in mind that whatever recommendations come forward, we will be checking with the development community on a regular basis. Sometimes, you know, folks don't like to serve in that capacity of forming the incentives, but we will certainly check with them before we finalize everything to make sure that they actually work and they'll be utilized to its full extent as well. But I also want to make sure that we give Councilmember White a chance to speak at a priority that was brought up at a council meeting last week Monday, as one of our focuses was looking at affordable housing, and should we provide a little bit additional to affordable housing. And maybe Deb, you're able to summarize a bit what was discussed at the council meeting last week Monday.
Yeah, sure. I'd be happy to. I think we even talked about this twice. 2 different agenda items, and so one was just looking at the fact that we're forming this working group to look at the incentives, and the council was really, I think, pleased to hear that we were working on that. And then when we were discussing the incentive, the tax incentive for the Silver Linings project, one of the questions that came up from the council was, if we were to make some changes, could we provide that as an option for that particular project? And so we talked about that extensively, because the current incentive that we were able to provide, there were some limitations. We weren't able to provide an additional incentive they didn't qualify for it because they do not have underground parking. They have only parking I can't remember the specific term, on-site, yeah, but not underground. And so if it were to change, they wanted to know, could we potentially go back and change the incentive that we're able to offer and sort of give an additional incentive. And Amy Thorpe did a great job of fielding the questions on that, and that is something that we might be able to do for projects that are currently in the works. And so Amy's going to follow up with the council afterwards. So if there are changes, we may be able to even do some things for a project that is right now in the works that is already looking at one incentive. We may be able to do some more to further promote or further support that project.
Thank you so much for sharing that. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, just for clarification for the public and for members that weren't here in the past, the existing policy for these multifamily homes is a 2-year exemption. So on any new value. So that's what was before the council. And there was a question about, could that be doubled, or is there more that we could do to encourage this type of housing that Silver Linings offers?
Yeah, and a couple other things before we just kind of ask the EDA here to just formalize the group and just vote on that. And prices obviously increased. We talked about that before. Construction materials. Some of our programs right now are a cost per square foot based on investment. Other ones are taxable value. We just know that that market has dramatically changed since those numbers were established. So it's just good practice to make sure we're keeping up with the times and that we're being financially responsible, but also effective to the uses of these incentives as well. So we look forward to continuing that conversation. My hope is that we would look to meet relatively soon and hopefully have some recommendations in the next couple months.
All right, thank you, Derek. Okay, so we're looking for a motion to formally establish this review committee. Anyone like to make that? Thanks, Mike. Second?
I'll second, Deb White.
Okay. Any further discussion on that? Any other thoughts, opinions, ideas? Okay, talkative group today. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, same sign. The motion carries. Thank you for those EDA members who are volunteering on that committee as well. Number 9, the Economic Development Report.
Thank you. Yeah, a few things that I want to focus on here, and actually some updates that I don't have in the report. So I'll start with the state kind of legislative stuff. So we haven't had a chance to report back, but in March we had the commissioner of the Minnesota Deed, Steve Grove, come to Moorhead. He was speaking at the Chamber's Midwest Economic Outlook Summit. We had a really strong conversation about the needs and kind of the opportunities here in Moorhead. I think he came in with his ears open, but we definitely hit him with a lot of information. Some really great things that came out of it was, one, I think he has a better understanding of how our regional economy works, which is something that the state desperately needs to understand. Some of the challenges that we face, especially Sherry mentioned with the CARES programs and some of the policies that come out of St. Paul's that just don't have a one-size-fit-all approach to specifically around the borders. We also had some reporting documentation that came out of DEED on workforce and jobs and other quarterly reports that included MSAs across the state of Minnesota, which included Minneapolis, St. Paul, Rochester, Mankato, St. Cloud, and then Duluth, Superior, Wisconsin. Fargo-Moorhead was not included in any of those reports for decades, probably. We circled that little box and shared with him his report, and by the end of the day, we had some answers and some solutions, and we were recently put into the report here just a couple weeks ago. So happy to see that we're being added to these documentations and communications that go across the state, because quite frankly, if we're not listed, again, like we talked about, we're not represented, we're not shown, how do people know about us too? So
if you don't mind, and on that one, this is one of those situations where it's like where you can show where adversity can lead you into a place where something thrives, you know. So when they looked at the numbers, our numbers in this region are really great. And so, you know, he was kind of bragging about it, and then said, why wouldn't these be reflected? So it actually like lifts up the whole. And then with that, you know, was, you know, Grand Forks MSA ended up being included, and some other kind of border areas where it just makes the story a little deeper, but it also puts us on the, you know, it's an important place on the map.
And it was as simple as we're a part of the North Dakota, the Fargo MSA, so the reporting times were different of when they produce the reports for the state of Minnesota, and that's really what it was. We also, again, we were at the Moorhead Career Academy, so he was able to see that beautiful facility that the school district kind of put together and just tried to highlight some stuff. They saw that as a really big leader for and an example for other places that around the state could do something very similar. So I think it was an effective meeting. I think we're expecting continual follow-up. The commissioner, I know, left his cell phone with a few of us as well to have some direct access. So excited to continue the conversation there. We had the governor come in town on April 12th for a couple different, I would say more political visits, but we did have one that was centered around public safety. And our police chief and fire and sheriff and Dilworth's police chief did an excellent job speaking on behalf of this community and some of the challenges and opportunities around public safety. There's a couple things around legislative items that I'm happy to kind of report. One of them was the unemployment trust fund. Many of you may know there was some hang up about frontline workers pay versus the UI trust fund, the unemployment insurance trust fund. There was a $2.6 billion deficit with the UI trust fund, and if that was not rectified in this session, there would be an increase to payroll taxes to all businesses across the state. As of Friday night, the governor in legislative session signed that into law, so that is replenished, and frontline workers pay is in there too. So happy to report that businesses will not see a tax increase or impact to something that just needed to be replenished by the legislative session. So glad to see that happen. The mayor's task force and Moorhead held a couple listening sessions for the community center, regional library. So glad to see that we had a lot of people show up for that event, and hopefully to have more information, and the groups that are forming around the kind of advocacy of that project will come together. But excited to see more information come into that. We are working closely with Greater Fargo Moorhead EDC, and John Mahacek is here as well with our document ready site program. So we're working on how we are going to market that large site that we have in our industrial park, which is an exciting thing. I mean, I think we just have a really gold mine of opportunities with the land that the city controls out in that area. So hoping to see some more industrial uses come into play there. Days Insight, I'll just say that the demolition has started. We've been going back and forth with the group. Obviously, again, construction costs are going up. We feel like we're very close to see that project start going vertical with permits and everything else too. So, but the team here has been working hard with the Enclave group to make sure that we're seeing that project go forward. And maybe one other thing that I will mention here that's not on there, and John Mahacek, I'm glad is here. We, as a part of our kind of Launch Minnesota group, this is out of Minnesota Deeds kind of initiative to create more entrepreneurial development. We work with the ILT Academy out of St. Cloud. They held a West Central Trailblazers Challenge. It's basically a challenge grant for ideas, entrepreneurials, businesses that are throughout that West Central territory. I was happy to report that we had a Moorhead business, Trimex, that actually won the challenge grant. They have a company here in Moorhead that's creating attachments to lawnmowers. They kind of have a weed whipper, edger kind of attachment to it. So a really fantastic group here in Moorhead that was able to win first place out of that Trailblazers Challenge grant. So we're looking to other ideas. We're reaching out to them to see if we can set up some meetings with them and just see if they need anything from us, from the city of Moorhead. But happy to see ILT and this area and this region represented so well at a large territory challenge. With that, that's all I have to report.
Thank you, Derek. Okay. Number 10, anything remaining?
We just included a link to the Onward Moorhead Comprehensive Plan. That final plan is now included on our website, and I encourage each and every one of you to take a look at it, download it, and get to know it, because we will be referencing it and using it as our guideposts in the upcoming months.
Okay, I think that's it. Get you out of here ahead of schedule today. Do we need a motion for adjournment or? Nope. All right, we're adjourned. Thank you.